Most men believe attraction begins with words, but that's not true. The moment a woman decides whether she feels drawn to you or quietly pulls away often happens before a single sentence leaves your mouth. Let me tell you something many men never realize until it's too late. Attraction, especially for a mature woman, isn't built on flashy moves, loud confidence, or rehearsed lines. It's built on emotional signals so subtle most men never even notice them. And one of the most powerful signals is touch. But not the kind of touch you might be thinking about. A mature woman doesn't feel attracted because a man touches her. She feels attracted because the touch carries intention, awareness, and emotional presence. When a man understands this, something changes. She feels safe, curious, and deeply drawn toward him without fully understanding why. You see, women who have lived life, who have experienced relationships, heartbreak, growth, and self-reflection, don't respond to the same shallow signals younger women might. They're not impressed by desperation or force. They respond to emotional intelligence. And touch, when used with awareness, communicates more than 1,000 words ever could. The first kind of touch that creates emotional attraction is something surprisingly simple: a calm, respectful greeting touch. When you greet her and briefly place a gentle hand on her upper arm or shoulder while saying hello, something subtle happens inside her mind. It signals warmth, presence, and confidence without pressure. Many men either avoid touch completely because they're nervous, or they do it awkwardly without emotional awareness. But a calm greeting touch shows something powerful. You're comfortable in your own skin. Confidence isn't loud, it's quiet certainty. A mature woman can feel that. The second touch is what I call the guiding touch. Imagine walking together through a doorway or a crowded place, a light hand on her back guiding her through for a brief second. Not controlling, not possessive, just protective and natural. To most men, this might seem meaningless, but psychologically, it taps into something deeper inside her mind. It signals leadership and awareness, not dominance. Leadership and mature women notice this immediately because leadership isn't about power, it's about presence. Now, here's something very few men understand. A woman doesn't become emotionally attracted to a man because he tries too hard to impress her. She becomes attracted because she senses emotional stability in him. Touch can communicate that stability. If your energy feels calm, grounded, and intentional, even a small moment of contact can create a ripple of emotional curiosity inside her. But if your energy feels needy, rushed, or uncertain, the same touch creates discomfort instead of attraction. That's the difference most men never learn. Touch is not about the physical act. It's about the emotional message behind it. And when a mature woman feels a man who understands this, something powerful begins to grow inside her. Not pressure, not obligation. Attraction, the kind that slowly pulls her closer without either of you needing to force anything. Because the truth is, the deepest attraction doesn't start in the body. It starts in the mind. And the men who understand this quiet psychological dance are the ones women remember long after the moment ends. But what happens next is where the real emotional shift begins. Because there's a specific kind of touch that instantly separates boys from men in a woman's eyes, and almost nobody talks about it. There is a moment in every interaction where a woman begins to feel whether a man truly understands emotional connection or whether he is simply performing confidence. Most men miss this moment completely. They talk more, they try harder, they search for the perfect words. But attraction, especially for a mature woman, doesn't deepen through performance. It deepens through subtle emotional cues. And one of the most powerful of those cues is reassurance through touch. Not dramatic, not obvious, just quietly intentional. Imagine this moment. You're both laughing, sharing a story, and she says something slightly vulnerable about her past or something personal in her life. Most men respond only with words, But a man who understands emotional presence might briefly place his hand over hers for just a second, then pull away naturally. That small moment does something inside her mind. It communicates, I hear you, I see you, and you're safe sharing this with me. That's the third touch many men never think about, the brief reassurance touch. It's incredibly simple, yet emotionally powerful, because mature women aren't looking for excitement alone. They're looking for emotional safety combined with strength. When those two signals appear together, attraction becomes deeper. Now let's talk about the fourth touch, the celebratory touch. This one happens during moments of joy. When she says something funny, when you both share a laugh, or when she tells a story and you playfully tap her arm or briefly high-five her. It may seem childish or small, but psychologically, it creates something important. It builds emotional association. Her brain begins connecting your presence with positive feelings. And attraction often grows from emotional patterns like this. Think about it. The people we feel closest to in life are often the ones we laugh with the most. When a man naturally celebrates moments of fun through light physical connection, he signals something that mature women find incredibly attractive. He's emotionally alive. He's not rigid. He's not distant. He's present in the moment. But here is where many men make a mistake. They try to copy behaviors without understanding the emotional energy behind them. Touch without authenticity feels mechanical, and women can sense that instantly. Mature women especially have developed strong emotional radar. They can feel when a man is genuine and when he's acting from insecurity. That's why intention matters more than technique. A confident man isn't thinking about whether his touch is working. He's simply expressing warmth naturally because he feels comfortable in the moment. And that authenticity is magnetic. But the fifth touch, this one is different. This one changes the emotional atmosphere between two people in a way most men completely underestimate. It's quiet, almost invisible. Yet, when it happens at the right moment, a mature woman feels a shift she can't easily explain. Suddenly, you're no longer just another man she's talking to. You become someone she begins to feel. And that feeling is where real attraction begins to grow. Because the truth is, emotional attraction doesn't happen through grand gestures. It happens through moments so subtle, most people never realize they just changed everything. There is a quiet moment that often happens during a conversation when emotional tension shifts from casual interest into something deeper. Most men don't notice when this moment appears, but mature women do. And when a man handles it with awareness, attraction begins to grow in a way that feels natural, almost effortless. This is where the fifth touch comes into play, the grounding touch. Imagine you're both walking side by side during a conversation. Maybe she shares something thoughtful. Maybe the discussion becomes slightly deeper. Maybe the world around you feels quieter for a moment. A man who is emotionally aware might briefly touch her elbow or forearm as he makes a point or responds to something she said. It lasts only a second, then it's gone. But psychologically, something subtle happens inside her mind. This kind of touch communicates emotional grounding. It tells her that you're not disconnected from the moment. You're present, you're engaged, you're comfortable with closeness without needing to force it. That balance is extremely rare. Many men either avoid physical contact entirely because they fear rejection, or they rush into it with nervous energy. But the grounding touch sits in the middle. It feels natural. And natural is powerful because mature women aren't searching for perfection. They're searching for emotional alignment. They want to feel that the man standing in front of them is comfortable in his own skin. A grounding touch signals exactly that. It's subtle leadership combined with calm emotional energy. Now, here's something even deeper. When a woman feels comfortable with a man's presence, her mind begins lowering its defenses. Not consciously, but emotionally. Her body language softens. Her voice becomes warmer. Her eye contact lingers longer. These signals often appear before she even realizes what she's feeling. Attraction rarely announces itself loudly. It grows quietly beneath the surface. The problem is that many men sabotage this moment by becoming impatient. They rush, they push, they try to escalate the interaction too quickly because they think attraction will disappear if they don't act fast. But mature attraction doesn't work like that. It grows through emotional pacing, through subtle tension, through moments where both people feel curiosity building naturally. The grounding touch helps create that emotional rhythm. It says, without words, I'm here with you. There's no rush, and that calm presence creates something incredibly powerful. In a world where so many interactions feel forced or superficial, a mature woman feels the difference instantly. She begins to relax. And when a woman relaxes emotionally, her authentic self begins to appear. Her humor becomes more playful. Her stories become more open. Her energy becomes warmer. And suddenly, the interaction feels less like two strangers talking and more like two people discovering something interesting about each other. But there's another touch that can create an even deeper shift, one that signals emotional protection, not control, not ownership, protection. And when a mature woman feels that energy from a man who is calm, respectful, and grounded, attraction often grows stronger than either of them expected. Because deep down, emotional safety is one of the most powerful forces behind human connection. And very few men understand how to communicate it without saying a single word. There is something every mature woman quietly looks for in a man. Even if she never says it out loud, she wants to feel that the man beside her is emotionally steady, not perfect, not dominant, not dramatic, steady. Because life teaches women something important over time. Charm fades, excitement comes and goes, but emotional stability, that is rare, and one small gesture can communicate this more powerfully than hours of conversation. This is the sixth touch, the protective touch. Now understand this carefully. Protection does not mean control. It doesn't mean ownership. And it definitely doesn't mean acting like a hero in situations that don't require one. Real protection is subtle. It's awareness. Imagine you're walking together near a busy street, through a crowd, or in a situation where movement becomes slightly chaotic. A man who naturally shifts position, so he walks on the outside of the sidewalk, or briefly places a hand near her back to guide her away from a passing crowd, sends a powerful signal without saying anything. He's aware, he's attentive, he's calm, and mature women notice this instantly. Why? Because awareness is a sign of emotional maturity. It shows that a man is present in the environment, not just inside his own head. Most men are distracted. They're focused on what to say next, how they appear, whether they're being judged. But the man who calmly notices the world around him stands out immediately. And when that awareness is expressed through a brief protective gesture, attraction often deepens in ways that feel almost instinctive. It taps into something ancient in human psychology. For thousands of years, survival depended on partners who were alert, calm, and capable of handling the environment. While modern life is different, those instincts still live quietly inside the human mind. But here's where things become interesting. A protective touch only works when it feels natural. If it feels forced, exaggerated, or performed for attention, the emotional effect disappears completely. Mature women have experienced enough in life to recognize authenticity. They know the difference between a man who is genuinely attentive and a man who is trying to impress them. Authenticity creates comfort. Performance creates distance. That's why the most attractive men rarely try to appear impressive. They simply behave in ways that reflect who they truly are. And those behaviors speak louder than any line or technique ever could. But there is one final touch that changes everything. This one happens at the end of an interaction. It's the moment where many men either destroy the emotional connection they've built or quietly strengthen it in a way that lingers long after they walk away. It's not dramatic, it's not intense. Yet, when done with calm confidence, it creates something powerful inside a woman's mind. Anticipation. And anticipation is one of the strongest forces behind attraction. Because the most unforgettable connections are not the ones that rush to the finish line. They're the ones that leave just enough mystery for someone to want more. The final moments of an interaction are often the most revealing. This is where emotional impressions become memories. And many men unknowingly ruin this moment because they feel pressure to secure validation before walking away. They linger too long, they overtalk, they search for reassurance that the interaction meant something. But mature attraction doesn't grow through pressure. It grows through emotional space. And this is where the seventh touch becomes powerful. The farewell touch. Picture the moment. The conversation is ending. Maybe you've both shared stories, laughter, small moments of vulnerability. There's a quiet sense of connection hanging in the air. Instead of dragging the moment out, a confident man does something simple. He smiles, gently touches her arm or shoulder for a brief second as he says goodbye, and then he leaves calmly. No hesitation, no awkward lingering, just presence followed by space. This moment does something surprising inside a woman's mind. It leaves the emotional story unfinished, and unfinished stories are powerful. Psychologically, the human mind naturally returns to moments that end with curiosity rather than closure. She might replay the conversation later in the evening. She might remember how relaxed she felt around you. She might wonder when she'll see you again. That quiet curiosity is the seed of attraction. But here's the deeper truth most men never hear. The touches we talked about today are not magic tricks. They are emotional signals. They work only when they come from genuine presence, respect, and awareness. Touch without emotional intelligence feels uncomfortable. Touch with calm intention feels magnetic. A mature woman isn't looking for a man who memorizes techniques. She's looking for a man who understands people, a man who listens, a man who notices, a man who moves through the world with quiet confidence instead of loud insecurity. When those qualities exist, even the smallest gesture carries meaning, and meaning is what creates emotional connection. The truth is, attraction between two people rarely begins with grand, romantic gestures. It begins with small moments of emotional alignment that slowly build trust, curiosity, and comfort. Most men overlook these moments because they're searching for something dramatic. But the men who understand subtle psychology, the men who move with calm awareness, they create attraction without forcing anything. And women remember them not because they tried harder than everyone else, but because their presence felt different. Now, I'm curious about something. Have you ever noticed a moment where a small gesture or touch changed the entire emotional energy between you and someone else? Tell me honestly in the comments. And if this opened your eyes to something most men never learn. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with a friend who needs to hear this. Because sometimes the smallest human behaviors reveal the biggest truths about attraction.